Peace and love, everybody. It's Anna Renee, and I am peace and love, everybody. It's Anna Renee, and I am your love power goddess, your sacred word priestess, and your doula of divine transformation coming at you once again from the MAPS channel, MAPS, mantras, affirmations, prayers, and spells. Once again, another beautiful day for learning more about yourself through the power of the written word as it has been channeled through Ra'an Nefer Amen, which is the way I do this here at this particular time. Not to say that I won't ever do some other book, but right now, just in this particular time, I'm sort of working from this volume, volume 6 of the Metu Neter, the Ra initiation system. And we're talking about the words of power, the HEKAU of each of the gods and goddesses, which are aspects and faculties of man's spirit, the spirit of the divine self, which each and every one of us are gods and goddesses. Yes. And with that being the case, there's levels to this. Not too many people talk about the levels of who it is that we are. I love astrology because it does. It talks about the 12 levels, which are the 12 zodiac signs. Each of us have all of them. Okay. You may have come in at a particular time under a particular sun, but there still is the rest of the solar system, right? Still is. And so we all have all of them to lesser and greater degrees, like your moon sign, your Venus sign, your Mars sign, your Mercury sign, your Neptune sign, and all of that. And the signs that are ruled by those planets. We all have it. When you do a natal astrology chart, then you find that out. And you know something? That's really important to knowing more about who you are, the subtle levels, not just the sun. You got to know your moon energy, okay? Well, I mean, if you go in through astrology. And so with this book, it goes in through the levels of the Neters, the Neteru, the gods and goddesses, which are constructed to be aspects of our spirits. And so, once again, today, it's a hot day, or it's hot inside of my apartment. Once again, today, we're going to deal with these aspects. And each of the aspects have certain qualities. It gets leveling and leveling deeper and deeper. There's levels to it. And there's levels to the levels. There's levels to the levels. Yes. So right now we're learning the levels to the level, which is Herukhuti. The one that is my favorite, you reap what you sow, that aspect. Divine protection, that aspect of the spirit. We all have it. So there are certain words when you want to learn how to invoke or bring up that energy. We each have the energy. So when is time to pull that energy, to work from that energy, there are certain words that are spoken, chanted in your meditations when you do meditations. And this kind of information has been part of the history and the story of the Kemetic people of so long ago, the ancients, that people from the other nations that are ancient, went to ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet, to learn these wisdoms, okay? And it was opened unto them to come in and sit at the feet of the masters and learn. And many people tried to learn. Many peoples back in those ages tried to learn, and many of them did. And people took it, you know, they learned on their levels and they brought it back to their people, and they built different kinds of secret societies based on the knowledge that they learned. Sometimes they got it pretty close. Other times their ego driven way of thinking and their prejudices interrupted their ability to take the information in, or maybe just their mindsets built from their own types of culture. People have a way of thinking based on their culture, and that may have interfered with how they took the information in. They built anyway, and then they came up with different religions and whatever, you know. But right now, through the workings of the Ra initiation system by Ra-Un Nefer Amen, and it's obvious that this man's got to be some kind of a sage, you know, a seer or something on some kind of real high level. And he was called to it by the gods and the goddesses. You can tell just by his depth of understanding and even his depth of interpretation. If it's his interpretation based on what he studied, then it's a near perfect in terms of being commonsensical, or just being scientific, or whatever word we want to use. It just makes the most sense of anything that I've studied. And I don't know, it just makes sense to me, based on what I've studied. It's up there with astrology as far as I'm concerned. His interpretation, and based on what he studied, the ancient mysteries and the ancient cultures and ancient knowledge that he got his hands on and was able to study, and based on his intuiting, because they say that education is a knowing, a learning from within, right? Ralph Smart says this a lot. He says education, educare, I think is how he says that, means to come from within, to get it from within. Is not what you do when you sit down and read somebody's book, but it's what you do when you go into a meditation and you intuit what's the knowledge that is there in a Akashic record, or wherever you want to call it, wherever the knowledge is in the spirit realm. You get it and you bring it forth, and that's your interpretation. And that's what Ra-Un Nefer Amen has obviously did, because he teaches, he goes in depth in terms of teaching about meditation. And there's levels to the meditation too. There's levels to everything, according to him, because he's, like I said before, a master at analysis, breaking everything down into tiny little bits so that you can look at it carefully and reassemble it in a way that makes sense. If you see just this big thing, then you don't know what it is you're looking at. If it's something that's so heavy as ancient Egyptian culture and knowledge, then it behooves you to be able to break it down so you can see the little parts, because there's so much greatness that came out of that culture, that ancient culture, and it still stands today, and they haven't been able to figure it out how these people did this. Not that it's not something that can't be figured out, but racism or just classism or prejudices have a way of blocking people from understanding. Now, as for and this is something that I got from somewhere. There was a book that I read 30 years ago, I'm sure. I can't remember the author's name. He was a French author. He was French. That much I remember. I remember that the book had a light blue cover, like the color of the sky, and then there was a pyramid, a picture of the pyramid on the front cover of this book. I can't remember the title of the book. I can't remember the name of the author, anything. But what he was talking about was what it was he was talking about is how on earth were these pyramids built? There have been people who say, well, slaves carried ton uh, stones that were a ton big and, heavy. And, they, by the thousands, they drag these things up. When you really sit down and think about it, but how did they do that? I mean, at the base of the pyramid, yeah, the first stones, if there were thousands of pounds heavy and stuff like that, how on earth did they do it and get this accuracy between the stones where the stones were so close together that you couldn't even fit anything between it? How in the world do you get a stone that you pulled from somewhere down the river or whatever and make it fit so perfectly like that? How do you do that? People don't talk about that really. But this author, the very first one that I read, said something that was just kind of mind blowing. What it was is that these stones weren't pulled, they were fashioned, they were concrete. They were mixed as some kind of a concrete, whatever, and they were set. And that's how you get the complete accuracy with the stones being so close together that you couldn't even get a piece of paper between the stones. They were so accurately close to each other. They were set. It just didn't occur to people that was a possibility, even though we build concrete buildings all the time in this day and age. To me, that makes the most sense that I ever heard. If that's the way it was done, then you can understand how they were able to bring forth all the accuracies, all the other aspects that they did mathematically speaking, where they have holes, observatories within the pyramids that catch the light of certain star at a certain time of the year, or even a certain year of a decade, and it shines in the hole in the pyramid and does certain things. You get all of that kind of accuracy if you read about that kind of stuff, and you say it has to be that those stones were very accurately put together. So some random stones that they're pulling up the river Nile and just slapping together, I mean, it just makes sense to me that it was their concrete. Whatever mixture that they used to make this concrete, it just makes better sense. And that's how they built the pyramids. So it wasn't 10,000 slaves dragging one stone from who knows where and bringing it up. And then again, it may have been that too. Who knows? I don't really know. But the concrete one just makes better sense. And they would have the ability, with the alchemical knowledge that the ancient Egyptians had, to be able to create a kind of concrete that looks just like stone. Maybe they made it out of stone. I don't know. What's concrete? I'm saying concrete, but I don't know what else I could say, what other word I can use. I mean, they also knew how to embalm so that the skin on the mummy would remain for decades and centuries and millennia. They knew that. They knew how to do that. The skin never deteriorated. It just stayed. Turned the leather right there on the spot. Well, not on the spot, but after a certain amount of time or whatever. And then there's a point in the Bible where they talk about Jesus at the resurrection was covered with the oils of myrrh and frankincense or whatever. I don't remember exactly what oil it was. Supposedly that Jesus was covered with. I read somewhere that somebody was saying they were trying to embalm the story of it. That story talks to the process of embalming, or embalming is not the right word to use, but you know what I'm saying. Creating the mummies, And that's why let me not keep going, because I'll never get to the thing that I'm here to talk about. Look at that, 15 minutes have gone by and I haven't even started yet. But anyway, it's so deep. But today we're going to talk about Herukhuti. Now I'm going to have to wear my glasses. Where did I set them? Here they are. So you might see those ridiculous circles from the lamp. Only if I hold my head up. If I hold my head down, you can't see that. But anyway, I'm going to start. We're going to read about Herukhuti. I'm right here, Herukhuti. And Herubehutet is another name that Ron Nepper Alman uses. I've never seen anybody else using that word, Herubehutet. But anyway, let's do it. Herukhuti is the faculty that enables man to share in God's protection. It is based on the law of cause and effect, reaping what has been sowed. All events in the world are governed by the law of cause and effect, which is karma. If you stepped off a cliff and broke your neck, would you conclude that you were punished by the law of gravitation? Would you purposefully step off a cliff and pray to God to suspend the working of this law? If you sow goodwill and love to others, even for them that commit injustice toward you, you will eventually reap goodwill and love. If you sow ill will to others, even as a self-defensive move, as in vengeance, etc., you will reap ill will from others. Know that thoughts are deeds. Thoughts are deeds. I'm going to interrupt right here, and I'm going to do a video at my other channel talking about the video that I made about that day that was August 21st and everything that happened to me last Sunday, as a matter of fact, a week ago, because today is the 27th. Yeah. As I thought about it, it was manifestation. I sort of called everything that happened to me that day. I called it in, really, but I had no intentions of calling it in. So when you get to a certain level in your abilities and you're not intentional about what you manifest, you start manifesting all kind of stuff that you never intended. But you did it. You actually did it. And that's what happened to me, I believe. And so I want to do a video talking about what I think about it and what conclusions that I have drawn because of it. Yeah, on the last video that I did at my mastery channel, check out that video when I'm talking about what happened to me on that August 21st. But anyway, it is karma. It is you reap what you sow. It is representing what you have brought into existence. Know that thoughts are deeds. So let me try to explain what I believe I understand about this. He said, would you purposely step off a cliff and pray to God to suspend the working of this law? The law of reaping and sowing, cause and effect. If you sow goodwill and love to others, even for them that commit injustice towards you, you will eventually reap goodwill and love. If you sow ill will to others, even as a self-defensive move, as in vengeance, you will reap ill will from others eventually. Know that thoughts are deeds. I guess what he's saying there is that if something happens to you and you start thinking about how you're going to get back at this person, you're switching up your energy. If it was positive, now you're thinking negatively, you're thinking about how to harm somebody. And because thoughts are deeds, you know what? Is it done? It'll be done unto you, because whatever you reap is what you sow. So you keep being open and, well, you keep being good to people, you at least to the extent you can, towards people, even if they have negative intentions. because you don't want to shift your energy into some negative thing, and then you'll start reaping that, because you reap what you sow. And your thoughts are the deeds done. Even if you're thinking about it, then you have done it in your heart. I think the Bible says that, talks about you have done this in your heart. You thought about it, well, you have done it in your heart. You've done it, it's done. So it's going to manifest. And it seems like these kinds of things manifest faster than other things. So the reason you continue to do goodwill towards even your so-called enemies is because you don't have any real enemies. And you want to keep your energy right so that you can continue to manifest good. When somebody is doing ill will to you, you brush it off, right? You brush it off, and you're not affected really. Not really. You're not affected really, even if the person killed you or something like that. In the next life, I can't speak on that, but I believe this. Okay, if it doesn't go as far as you being killed by somebody who had ill will, towards you. Even with that, you don't even have to go to your death hating the person for having harmed you. You don't even have to do that. So when you get to the afterworld, it'll be clear, right? Because you still held on to having the goodwill for the person, even if they didn't do. I mean, Nelson Mandela is a very good example of this. He became a president of an entire nation. It took 30 years, doggone near, okay? But the way it came about, he never had that negative, woe is me kind of a mentality in prison, being imprisoned by the regime of South Africa, It's one of those kind of laws. It's the law of Herukhuti. It's not easy. It's not for just everybody, because most people look towards vengeance. If you do this, even the Bible talks about vengeance, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and stuff like that. The Bible contradicts itself because it's a compilation of many books, 66 as a matter of fact. So, anyway, all right. If you sow ill will to others, even as a self defensive move, as in vengeance, you will reap ill will from others. Know their thoughts or deeds. Yeah, you might sow ill will to this one and get vengeance on them, but somebody else on the other side is going to say or do or interfere in your life some kind of negative way. The chief purpose of this law is to protect man's union with God. It's to protect man's union with God. If, as a preemptive defensive move, you are nurturing thoughts of your enemy meeting an ill fate, you are breaking divine law. First of all, you are usurping God's role. And second, you are, through your thoughts and feelings, no longer one with all, as you have separated the transgressor from yourself. God has made the agent of reward an impersonal factor to enable man to hold onto his or her love for the transgressor, and thus to the oneness with all. Trust in God, justice will be done, even if the transgressor escapes the law of man. Okay? No, they might not go to jail, but trust and believe, okay, that they're going to suffer some kind of consequence, because it's just a law. It's like the law of gravity. You can't jump off a building and not go downward. Man, God has made the agent of reward an impersonal factor. Okay, I read that already. Herukhuti. Herukhuti corresponds to the victorious aspect of Heru in his battle over evil. It corresponds to the principle of voluntarily stepping up your conditionings For example, meeting your conditionings, your fears, your angers, your lusts, etc., head on. You meet those things, those aspects of you head on. The ideal strategy is to take time to prepare one's thinking and emotions, etc. There are situations when the best approach is the behutet. I've looked that word up, behutet. I can't find that word. I don't know what that means. The behutet, Behutet. It must be an Egyptian word. I just simply don't know what it is. Herukhuti, also known as Heru Behutet in Ra Neferamen's book. So I don't know. The best approach is the behutet. It is also the final step that must be taken after all preparatory measures have been made. So someone who knows, comment in the comment section, what does it mean, the behutet? I'm looking for a literal definition of that word, behutet. Behutet. What does that mean? Heru Behutet. You see that right there. But we are talking about Herukhuti. Yeah, if you know what it is, let me know in the comments section, please. Tell me, help me. I looked it up and I couldn't find the word. Okay. It is also a final step that must be taken after all preparatory measures have been made. One benefits from being in the initiative and psychological and physiological readiness, adrenaline flowing, chi, ra, kundalini, vital force aroused and flowing, etc. Divine protection makes Herukhuti special to Amen and Aser. It also explains how and why I can pray for my enemies, quote unquote. Those who have transgressed are not my enemies. That's why I can pray for them, because they transgress against God. If you transgress against me, you've transgressed against God and yourself, and you have separated yourself from the unity and the oneness that empowers us through our divinity to the Most High God, where we get our power and our abilities. You want to share in the omnipotence. So you do not want to separate yourself by your words and your deeds, just because this one over here has transgressed against you. That's not enough reason for you to now do something to him and transgress against God yourself. That person has transgressed against God when he transgressed against me. Okay. You got to keep that in mind. It's a high level spirituality. It is. And it's one of them. It seems harder than it really is. It's just completely different from the way we have been brought up and how we have been taught. Anyway, Herukhuti's energy and mental qualities. Herukhuti's energy is metaphorized as being very hot and dry, meaning that it corresponds to a metabolic state that neutralizes the sympathetic emotions and promotes the hot ones, anger, zeal, courage, etc. The person is able then to engage in dangerous and risky situations without fear and to send the guilty to the gallows without sympathy. The energy state is supportive of analytical thinking when not interfered with by anger and zeal. Okay, so Herukhuti personality keynotes: active, adventurous, aggressive, agitated, alert, angered, easily angered, ardent, audacious, brave, carried away easily, combative, cool under pressure, courageous, decisive, determined, direct, dynamic, efficient, energetic, enterprising, enthusiastic, explosive, fierce, fighter, firm, hard worker, hardy, implacable, incisive, initiating, lively, obstinate, persevering, short term persevering, piercing, pioneering, powerful, risk taker, solid, valiant, virile. A summary of Herukhuti's keynotes: justice, the rendering of, courage, zeal, law of karma, not seeking revenge, risk taking, analysis, Heru Behutet. Heru Behut. You got it without the extra T on the end. Let me see something. Because usually with the Egyptian words, that when you add a T at the end, it feminizes it, I believe. Like the word ma'at comes from the word ma'a, M-A-A. Ma'at makes it feminine. Just like sekert, the T at the end makes it feminine. Seker without the T is masculine. So let me look this word up one more time. Let's see if Google will do me right. Probably not. It's a it's a German word, behut, translation from German into English. To watch over, to guard. I don't know if that's. It's also a Bosnian word. All right, it's some kind of foreign word. Either that or it doesn't compute. Period. All right, I give up. Anyway, let's just be satisfied with what we know. All right. So the summary of Herukhuti's keynotes: justice, rendering justice. Okay, I just read that. You must keep the keynotes of Herukhuti uppermost in your mind as you reflect on the qualities of each of his angelic HEKAU mantras. Each of its angelic mantras, it's got more than one. Okay, Vehuja, while breathing in Ong Hilaring. Ong Hilaring. I have Herukhuti's uh what am I trying to say? I have the actual recording of the God, my mind's just going blank. You guys, I've talked about it already. It's at my mastery channel. Okay, just the mantras, the my mind is going blank right now. I can't think right now. Let me just go ahead. Okay, you can hear it, and it's Hilaring Ruptiong, Hilaring Ruptiong, and then in comes, and this is the. Why can't I think? What is it I'm trying to say? I gotta say what I'm trying to say. The meditation. That's what I'm trying to say. The meditation. Jesus Christ. When your mind goes completely blank. God, it's not cool. Herukhuti meditation. Mastery channel. Harajuku. I have no idea. That's not what I said. I didn't say Harajuku. I said Herukhuti. That's what I said. Herukhuti meditation. Mastery channel on YouTube. It keeps bringing that up. You don't know what Herukhuti is. I've said it and it came up before, so I don't know why it's not coming up now. Anyway, it's all right. Herukhuti, I'll just spell it out. Right? Sometimes this thing acts like it doesn't understand. It's just faking the funk. It does understand. Oh, good Lord. By the time I get this, it's going to be like, I'm not going to feel like doing it. Here it is. That's me holding the Herukhuti card back in the day when I first did the Metu Netter at the Mastery channel. But anyway, I used that same picture. That's me when I used to have locks. Uh, I used the same picture because I found it on YouTube. I found it in Google, I mean to say. So I just downloaded it and used it. And that's one thing about Google. I mean about YouTube and Google. Google will take the pictures off your YouTube channel, the thumbnails. But anyway, I love this. I'll play it. Let's see, where am I? 36 minutes.
They don't know how to just switch that off.
The ring.
Breathing out slowly. Out. Nice deep breath in. Breathing out.
Don't that sound vicious? You just think of an army. That's the whole point. You think of warriors coming towards you. But this is a meditation, a guided meditation.
Breathing in. Out. Breathing in deeply and softly. Out slowly. In. Out. Breathing out.
You would have to listen to this because the sister who's singing it, she went into another zone with it. She's singing, hey, 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 rip the arm. She started getting more and more into it. You can hear. You would have to go to my channel and find that Herukhuti meditation and listen to it all the way through. It plays twice. It's a 36-minute long video, but it comes through twice, from beginning to end twice. And as she's singing, she just goes off into another place. She was a warrior in her own spirit. And just by chanting that, you could hear the energy of Herukhuti downloading in her or uploading in her. Yes, in a woman. Okay. She may have needed that. Sometimes women need Herukhuti energy too. You know, they can't sit like a damsel in distress and wait for a man to come and rescue her if there's no man around. You need to be able to pull up your own Herukhuti energy. Okay. And a man might need to be able to pull up some offset energy. Okay. Even though it is represented by a female aspect, it's still aspect of you as a man, as a woman. Okay. It's not that it's a female, it's that it's a certain kind of energy, and you need to be able to pull that up when you need to be able to do it, depending on uh, the situation. If it's self-nurturing, you need to do, maybe you grew up in a harsh home, you need to be able to self-nurture. Okay, you need to pull up that kind of kindness for yourself. A lot of times men don't have any kindness for themselves, and they wait for a woman to bring it. A lot of times a woman is not bringing it because they are not attracted to the woman that will bring it. They're attracted to the other kind of woman. They just, it's a confusion. It's just a natural thing that we deal with until we overcome these things. But you know, you can, as a man, pull up your own self nurturing so that you can overcome aspects of yourself that harm you and that you self harm. Okay, there's lots of black men and just men in general who do self harm. Okay, they do because they don't have any aspect of any kind of nurturing in them. But we do. We are supposed to have all of it. You have to know how to bring it up. A lot of times men don't believe they are supposed to do that, or they don't know how to do it, or it doesn't occur to them to do it based on their kind of a culture, what kind of a way they were brought up, where they were brought up. And we all know how one-sided and messed up the culture that we are brought up in is. So, anywho, this one is Vehuja, Vehu Ja. Now, in that older video that I uploaded, it sounds like they're saying Rup Diong. Then they say Ong Hilaring, Rup Diong Hilaring. That's what it sounds like to me. But here in this one, and they sometimes they change. They don't be exactly the same all along. But while breathing in, he says Ong Hilaring, right? Ong Hilaring. But then while breathing out, he says Vehu Ja Ong. That's not what's being said in this particular one that's on my channel. It's different, but still the Ong Hilaring part is the same. The other part is not. And I don't think it matters too much because these are words of power, energetic, resonance. And so different words will say different things. And after all, these are HEKAU. They're more than one. Anyway, while breathing in, Ong Hilaring. While breathing out, Vehu Ja Ong. In this one, he said Rupti Ong. But right here it says Vehu Ja Ong. But anyway, what is it going to attack? What is it going to help you out with? What bad habits and negative traits? Extravagance, okay? Sexual impulse too strong, promiscuity, revengeful, intellectual aggressiveness, dramatic scenes, negative dramatic scenes, fiery temper, career. And these are the aspects that Herukhuti, which corresponds to Mars, would have. If they're overabundant, then these kinds of, this particular word of power, this phrase of power, will help balance that out. Because with it being too overdone, if you're extravagant, that's a problem. Okay, if your sexual impulse is too strong, then that is a problem. If you're promiscuous, that's a problem. Those are all Aryan kind of things or Martian kind of things. When it's too much, you got to be balanced. You do. Okay. Career talents to cultivate and develop. Education. Trailblazers. All right. Writing, writers, politics, politicians. You know, you got to have a high sense of energy when you're a politician, right? I would say that President 45, 46, that the orange one, his was way overboard. His is way too aggressive and just far, far, far over the top. His Herukhuti energy is just beyond what makes any kind of real sense where you can interact with people. Okay. His is way over the top. We know this about. Okay. Politics, politicians, lecturers, public speakers, enterprises, success, especially the most difficult ones. Difficult enterprises and being successful in them. Can you have that drive, Personal and spiritual development. You're optimistic, you have life challenges. The psychic abilities, hands, laying on of hands to heal. Wei Qi and Qi Gong. The psychic protection to receive. Protection spiritual. So you get spiritual protection. All right, here's another one. Hari El. While breathing in, Ong Hilaring. While breathing out, Idio Hari El. Idio Hari El. And what bad habits it deals with? Heretics and heresy. Whew. The career and talents to cultivate and develop in education. What will it deal with? Building trades, plumbing, masons, etc. Okay. Lawyers, professors, teachers, art appraisers, restaurateurs, uh, antiques appraisers, analytical. I mean, when I go back to restaurateurs, because I worked in a company that sold seafood of all kinds, top quality, high level seafoods to all the restaurants in San Francisco, the top level restaurants in San Francisco, and in the Bay Area. As a matter of fact, and even the Google, the company that I work for, had a huge account with Google. Google has many little restaurants, in the whole complex that was Google back in the day. I'm not sure what they're doing these days, but I know we sold a whole lot of top quality food to them. And my son got me that job, but he did the driving and delivering. So he interacted directly with the chefs and owners a lot of the time when they happen to be in the kitchen. A lot of times when they're delivering, the chefs and the owners and such were in the kitchen. They're there like in the early morning waiting for their delivery of food and stuff. And so you can deal with these, you can see these people, and he did, and he used to tell me stories about how crazy they were, how just so energetic they were. And a lot of times they took drugs and stuff like that so that they can keep that high energy, because being a restaurateur is a hard job, is a hard business. And in San Francisco, it's got to be the hardest and the most competitive. Oakland has become like San Francisco used to be in terms of the food industry. You got to really have that Martian energy on fleek if you are in the restaurant business. Okay, you got to almost be like an asshole, almost. But if you were to chant this kind of lyric, it'll bring your energy up, and you'll be on that level. You won't have to take drugs to do it. You won't have to be an asshole to do it. You'll just be on fleek, and people will love you, and you still have the energy. There are those who are like that anyway. I would say Tamara, what's her name? She's the owner of Solely Vegan. She's got to be that, because she's such a beautiful woman and people love her from left to right. She's been on dives, dumps, and drive-ins, which is a Food Network show back in the day when Food Network was the thing. Okay, but she was just all the time, just so sweet. But she had to be something more than just sweet to be so successful. Solely Vegan restaurant. She has blown up. She's opening up restaurants all over the daggum place. Okay. She gets 4.5 stars consistently. Okay. She's doing big freaking things. Okay. Big freaking things. But she's still her. She looks sweet. You know she's got her Herukhuti on fleek. You know it. And you know this. In order to maintain that high level of success in the restaurant business as a black woman, let me find a picture of her. Tamara somebody. Tamara of Solely Vegan Restaurant. I said Tamara. I didn't say the mirror. This thing is losing its hearing. Let me try to spell her name. Tamara. Tamara. Yeah, I should have just said Solely Vegan owner. Black Enterprise did a story on her. That had to be a while back, but she's been everywhere. Everybody is just giving her nothing but praises. She's very beautiful, and she reeks of being sweet. But she's got to be something more than sweet. Oh, look at her with Oprah. Ew, the girls with Oprah. She's just that sister. Okay, she's the beast. You know she is behind that beautiful smile. That's Herukhuti on fleek. Okay, when it's balanced properly. So she got her fire where she needs it, obviously. But it doesn't go overboard so that people start hating her. But it goes right where it needs to be so that she can maintain everything. She can't be soft, whatever that means, you know. Otherwise, people will walk right over her. Anywho, ain't that something? It's a woman who's got it on fleek. Ain't that something? Other women have had it on fleek too in the restaurant. Black women who've done the restaurant business and have been successful for decades and stuff like that. She's had to have been in the business for at least 15 years by now. Okay. By now. Okay. By now she has. Anyway, career talents to cultivate and develop, education, building trades, plumbing, masons, etc., lawyers, professors, teachers, art appraisers, restaurateurs, antiques appraisers, analytical thinking, expediting results, public relations, the personal and spiritual development, the esoteric practices and study like of metaphysics, spirituality in order to strengthen yourself, earthing, realism, justice to increase the sense of justice, spiritual falsehoods, propagators, atheists, courage. Woo, starting to get warm in here. Where's my fan? Where's my fan? Here it is. Whew. Okay. Vices, sociopaths. Now that's when it goes way over the top. When you're out there trying to harm people. You're looking for somebody to harm and hurt. You become a sociopath. Okay, or a religious fanatic, or an antagonism, or a warmonger. You know, you just want to harm, you want to hurt, your energy is too high. You don't know what to do with yourself. Okay. All right. More words of power. HEKAU. HEKAU. While breathing in, Ong Hilaring. While breathing out, God HEKAU. O as in oats. What, gold HEKAU? Is that what he's saying? Gold, okay, yeah. Instead of God. Gold HEKAU. Gold HEKAU. All right, let me get on to this. Bad habits, negative traits, to balance your sensualities, okay? A lack of loyalty and treachery. To get that, you got to get that worked on. Rebellions on the job, in the family, etc. Just rebellious by nature. Infidelity, seduction of others. Uh, what is his name? I got his books on the shelf right there, all those orange books. Seduction. This guy, what is his name? Why is his name not coming to me? Robert Greene, famous and somewhat infamous for these books that he be doing, 48 Laws of Power, 33 Laws of War, seduction, and just all these harsh books talking about these kinds of energies. He always talks about this kind of stuff. The people of history who happen to be like that. Oh, and let me not forget the 50th law, where he talks in depth about 50 Cent and what the way he worded it was as though the way 50 Cent did what he did in his way of coming up, it was perfect, even though it was treacherous, And Robert Greene wrote that book. That's the only one of the books I let go. I didn't even keep my 50th law because there was a lot in it that I didn't like, the harshness of it. But I can say the same about all the other books. There's aspects to each and every one of those books that just throw me off, except for the Mastery book. That's the one book that I like all the way through. But anyhow, we're talking about Herukhuti right here. Okay. Bad habits, sensuality, balance your sensuality, overcome your treachery, stop being rebellious to your family members and on the job and all this stuff. You know, infidelity, come on, stop cheating, don't be a cheat. Seduction, don't go about seducing people just because you can. There's nothing but that kind of stuff on the tube these days. Everybody is seducing. People get off on the fact that they think they have some kind of power. They probably read the 48 Laws of Power, or they probably read Seduction and learned about the Count of whatever back in England in 1825 and how he seduced little girls and things like this. Now they want to test that shit on YouTube with their audience. A lot of people on this tube do not respect their audience. Yeah. And that's not a good thing, because people do have intuition. And after a while, they can feel some kind of a vibration that they don't like. And maybe that stuff might backfire on you if you're doing that. Don't do it. It's not even worth it. Balance that stuff out. Okay, career talents to cultivate: education, journalism, communication careers, cultural affairs, law, high court professionals, lawmakers, law reformers, financial counseling, services, market, stocks, forex, and all that good stuff. All right. Psychic protection to receive. This is going to be a long video. Leaders, their protections. Oppressed, to help the oppressed. This kind of energy, when you balance it, is good to help the oppressed, because you really got to be energetic. You got to be aggressive when it comes to helping the oppressed, if you really want to be successful in it. Okay, if you really want to get something done. Vices: robbery, illegal goods trafficking, drug trafficking. Okay, here's a new one. Here's another one. Rael. While breathing in, Ong Hilaring. While breathing out, Zimi Rehiel. What does that work on? What bad habits does that hit? Fanatics, egotism, selfish kind, mistrustful and negative, hypocrisy, a lack of sincerity, racism, if you're prone to racism, if you're a heretic or heresy, atheist or atheism, okay? You got to know there's a God. Some people just won't read. They won't acknowledge that there is a God. I say most likely is because they have been misinformed through their religious teachings that were wrong. So they're like, if this is God and I don't believe in God, If this what they're teaching me is God, then I don't believe in God. I ain't gonna believe in it. All right, career talents to cultivate and develop. Writing, writers, arts and sculptors, arts, graphics, decoration. Okay. Yeah, those people are very energetic. A lot of energy coming through them so that they can create. You have to, have that. Personal and spiritual development. Spirituality, strengthening your spirituality, dealing with the 11 laws of God, karma, reversing negative karma. Hmm. Psychic protection to receive, transgressor protection against you transgressors. See the ones that's trying to come for you, you get protected. All right. Manad el. While breathing in, Om Hilaring. While breathing out, Manad el Allah. Manad el Allah. Bad habits, negative traits, laziness. Woo, okay. Career talents to cultivate and develop. I guess that's the opposite end of Herukhuti. When there's too much going on and you're going for it and you're bashing into people, you're creating havoc. When it's not enough, then you're just lazy, won't go for it, period. All right, yeah, that makes sense to me. Career talents to cultivate and develop, and education. Professors, teachers, sciences, you have an aptitude for sciences. Investigators, politicians and politics, activists, public speakers, yes, visionaries, vision statement, social enterprises, and help to the destitute. Yes, you got to be energetic to deal with that because you're going to be going head on into the system that seems not to care about the destitute. So you got to have the strength. You can't crumble when you hit a brick wall, you're going to hit many when it comes to dealing and helping for the poor. So you got to have your Herukhuti energy. Personal and spiritual development. To use your will effectively, okay? Being optimistic, increasing your initiative, your drive, increasing your independence. All right. Your positive traits you have or to cultivate, your psychic abilities, okay? Lost or stolen items, you are able to find them, okay, through your psychic abilities. Material possessions, preserving your material possessions. To gain information about your distant friends. Hmm. To keep and protect employment. Hmm. Vices. Offer protection to criminals. Okay. Tendency to injustice. Hmm. Okay. Another word of power, another HEKAU, HEKA, another HEKA. Veulja. While breathing in, Om Hilaring. While breathing out, Solu Veulja. Solu Veulja. Solu, Solu Veulja. Hmm. Bad habits and negative traits. It works against, well, you have the disharmony with people. You're prone to being disharmonious with people. You're prone to dogmatism. You're prone to accident with cars. Okay. You're prone to gluttony, egotism, selfish kind. Wrong tendency to give wrong counsel. Whoa, that's heavy. Career talents to cultivate and develop education. Investigators, sciences, aptitude, politics, politicians. So we see that this is always going back to politics, politicians, science, the arts, and social activists and that kind of deal. You got to have the energy for those things. Politics, politician, to help the destitute, success in your enterprises. Some people have more than one business going. All right. Members of high society, medical institutions, hospitals, clinics, etc. Got to be energetic in that kind of place, right? Personal and spiritual development to increase altruism, okay? To strengthen your self-esteem and your confidence. Psychic protection to receive. Spiritual evil protection against. You are protected against the spiritual evil. All right. Here's another one. Nemamja. While breathing in, Ong Hilaring. While breathing out, Popa Nemamja. Popa or Papa Nemamja. Nemamja. Okay, bad habits, negative traits. You're confrontational, you have evil tendencies, you're contentious, you're contrary, and you're a coward. You have cowardice within your bones. You have a lack of loyalty and you're treacherous. Okay, the kind of person who would throw someone under the bus that they just profess to care about, and then they turn around and throw them under the bus. That kind of stuff, you know? You need to be chanting Ong Hilaring Popa Nemamja. Popa Nemamja. Okay. Careers and talents to cultivate: politics, politicians, economists, administrators, advocates of just causes, recreation in coastal areas and business. Recreation in coastal areas. Okay, that's interesting. Working with addicts. Okay, I work with addicts. General, to have prosperity. Okay. Popa Nemamja. Popa Nemamja. Ong Hilaring. Popa Nemamja. Working for social justice and harmony, leadership and prosperity. Okay. Psychic abilities, revelations and dreams. Okay. And it's true. You get revelations in dreams. You can get revelations in dreams. I had a really interesting dream one day. I was in some part of the town that I'd never been before. And even in my dream, I was thinking, are there any black people in this part of the town? And as soon as I said that, a young black girl ran across the street. People just doing what they do. She was running across the street to go somewhere. She was crossing and she was jaywalking. So she ran across the street. And I was standing on the side of the sidewalk and she ran across. She went wherever she had to go. And I was also standing on a slight hill. And a bus came from around the corner and there was an overpass, a freeway. The bus came and made a turn and came up the hill that I happened to be standing on that street. And there was a name. The name of the bus was named after somebody. It was a name. It was an Egyptian name. I remember the name. I never had a dream where I saw somebody's name written down. And it was the name of the bus, as though this particular person was being honored with a bus being named, a bus line being named after them. Like sort of like Oscar Grant when he was assassinated, pretty much. That area by the Fruitvale BART, which is where I'm at every day when I go to work. There are 3 lanes where cars can go through. One lane is for the buses. Cars aren't supposed to go through. There's a second lane for more buses. And then there's a third lane where cars can go through, dropping people off and whatnot. That particular lane was named Oscar Grant. So that area is only a block long, 2 blocks long. It's called Oscar Grant. So in this dream of mine, it's like this bus came around the corner and then came up the hill. It had that name. I still remember the name. I wrote it down someplace. I'm not going to mention the name right now. And I was like, wow. When I woke up, I'm like, wow, what a dream. Well, that's different. I ain't never had that kind of a dream before. Yeah, you'll get revelations in your dreams. That name is going to, it means something. I looked it up. I looked up on Facebook if there was anybody with a name. I looked up on Instagram and I looked the name up just on Google. And nobody with that name exactly. They either had the first name or they had the last name. They didn't have both names. So I'm like, that's going to be revealed to me later on. I have no idea why that name came through to me. No idea whatsoever. I don't know. Never dreamt about anybody's name like that before. It's probably some kind of a revelation I have no idea about at this point. Later on, I'll learn, maybe, or maybe not. Anyway, vices, all right? Fraudulent behavior, okay? Here's another one, EILL, EIL, let's see. It's spelled IEIAL. And we know that I can be interchanged with the letter J and even the letter Y. And so let me try to pronounce this. EAL, EAL, EAL. That's a hard. That one is hard. That's a hard one. EAL, EAL. Anyway, okay. On Hillering while breathing in, while breathing out. Pora, EALL, EALL. What will that deal with? What negative traits? It'll deal with the negative trait of disemulating. What's that mean? Disemulating. I never heard that word before. Emulating is a word, but disemulating, what's that mean? Disemulating. Oh, it means to conceal or disguise one's thoughts, feelings, or character. Ooh. To conceal or disguise. Ooh. A country gentleman who, here's an example of that, who dissimulates his wealth beneath ragged pullovers. Okay, that means, okay, I get it. All right. They're saying that's a negative habit. Being revengeful, lying, sensuality to balance. Sometimes you gotta hide your wealth. I mean, because it gets in the way. It can be anyway. Career talents to cultivate and develop. Education, opportunities to better recognize and take advantage, or iron and metallurgy workers. Okay, that's Shango, right? And we know Shango is corresponding to Mars, right? And Herukhuti is Shango. You go on my Mastery channel and find the breakdown of the gods that I did maybe about 6 years ago. What Ra and Nefer Amen did with each god and goddess. He went through what it means in Ifa or Yoruba, what it means in all the different religions. So Shango is going to be Herukhuti and all the different other ones. I can't, whatever other religion that works with these gods, so to speak, So definitely iron and metallurgy, that definitely corresponds to Herukhuti as well as Shango, right? It's Shango, right? The iron and metallurgy. I believe so. Personal and spiritual development. Spiritual and material equilibrium, okay? Being courageous, defenders of the truth, clear in complicated situations, clear thinking in complicated situations, improving your honesty, psychic protections to receive, witness, protecting false witnesses, protecting against false witnesses. Somebody come and lie about you, you'll be protected against their lies, Evil eye, jealousy, ill will, and envy, protection against that. Those people who have the green-eyed monster lurking in you, they can't stand to see you succeeding, which is a crazy thing. They're jealous, they have ill will, they're envious. Givers of false testimonies, protection against. So this is all about protection, the psychic protection. tale bearers, false testimonies, evil eyes, false witnesses, protect against all of those. You'll be protected against all of those. What's the word? What's the word you got to chant? EILL. EILL. That's a hard one for me to say for some reason. Anyway, vices, premeditated crimes, being prone to that kind of stuff, arms dealers, legal and illegal, homicidal and criminality. Woo! All right. So here's the next word. Hiel. While breathing in, ong hilaring. While breathing out, Hai el zur. Zur. So the negative trait and bad habit is being contentious, infidelity, envious, debts, eliminating debts, avarice, correcting falsehoods, and laziness. And again, the career talents in education: artisans, investors, speculative investors, lawyers, machinery workers, arts and sculptors. And the psychic protection that you receive is against evil people, protection against these people. Or your vices would be criminality. All right, my people, I'm finished. My next one is going to be Heru, the hero. That's the next one. But in the meantime, those were all the special words of power for the energy of Herukhuti. Check out my video for the guided meditation if you want to do it. That's what this is corresponding to anyway. Slightly different from what is written in this book for Herukhuti, but it doesn't matter because it's still saying hilaring, ong hilaring, ong hilaring, rupi ong hilaring. So that's going to create the vibrational frequency that words create, because as I heard someone say, in order to speak, your vocal cords are vibrating. So there's the vibration right there. And this is what you do for those who want to get that power going through the way the okay. So my people, that was your connection is unstable. Please wait until we try again. Reconnecting. I hope it's reconnected by now. But anyway, my people, that's the end. Anna Renee, your love power goddess, your sacred word priestess, and your doula of divine transformation, coming at you once again with the Metu Netter, Volume 6. Okay. The Ra Initiation System by Ra Nefer Amen. Those were the HEKAU of Herukhuti. All right, my people, peace and love. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel, maps, mantras, affirmations, prayers, and spells. And thank you all for being here with me. Peace and love.